How's it going? Charles Botenston. Today we're going to be talking about something that is amazing. I pretty much say that every video, but this time I actually mean it. And the reason I mean it is because a couple of these videos I talk about, well, if you compound this and then the next day you compound it and then you go to the gym and then you go to the gym and then you go to the gym and then you go to the gym, or if you make calls and you make calls and you make calls, the Compound Effect by Darren Hardy or the Slight Edge by Mike Olson or Jeff Olson, Mike Olson, one of those guys. Essentially, you just compound it every single day, and then that's what you do over time. Or like myself is you just continuously read good books, and then over time you get a little bit more intelligent, you get a little bit more self-actualized, and then you see the world in a totally different lens. You're like, okay, everything I was taught in school, everything that I was taught by my parents, pretty much because they're not into self-development, they're like, and technology, just the way of life, everything, and science is just upgraded to such a point that we literally pretty much know most things. You know, like 100 years ago compared to now, or 10 years ago as opposed to now, I'm communicating through this device. Things are just moving. So that's why people are getting further left behind and people are moving ahead faster. The reason being is that those that actually compound, say eating right, are going to be healthier. Those people that study are going to get better grades. Okay, Charles, we understand. Compound effect. Perfect. So I keep on saying that, but like, what does that mean? And it's going to tie in with two concepts today, which is free will and choices. Okay? So we'll start with free will. What is free will? Free will, you know, everyone says we live in a free country. We're free to say this. We're free to do this. And which is true, you know, obviously to the most part, as long as it's not illegal, blah, 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 you know, and I put illegal in quotes is because we put the meaning to illegal and we put the meaning that something should not be done. And then there's moral issues and things like that. But free will, let's just boil it down. Obviously, you have the dictionary definition, but the definition that I'm going to say is you choose what you want to do in life. You choose what to eat, you choose what to think, you choose your attitude, your emotion, you choose how to handle things, you choose your body type, your money, your friends, your relationships. You choose these things. You know, there's a book out now, I forgot the name of the author, but it's called Extreme Ownership, and it's an ex-Navy SEAL, and essentially you have to take control of everything that happens in your life. One of the books right now, or not right now, but I read it a couple of years ago by Jack Canfield, is The Success Principles. And the Success Principles in here, by the way, this is what my kitchen countertop looks like. All these books that I'm reading right now. So Jack Canfield, he talks about you need to own everything. Okay, so I'll throw out an extreme example. You are driving down the street. You're driving through an intersection. It's a green light, and you get T-boned by a drunk driver, and something really bad happens. You're paralyzed, or the passenger dies, or something. An extreme example, because then you could boil it down to the smallest example. But extreme ownership and free will, if you truly believe it, means you had the free will to be driving at that speed, to get into the car, to go out that night, to be driving at that time, to be going to an event. You chose all of those aspects. It's the exact same. And I know you're thinking, what are you talking about? It's the drunk driver's fault. See, that's the difference, is that if everyone took responsibility and everyone had extreme ownership, the drunk driver would say, it was completely my fault. I own it, blah, blah, blah. The driver would also say in the other car, I own it. I was driving at that speed. I decided to go to this event. I decided to go out this night. I decided to buy this car, or I decided to, I don't know. You know, there's so many decisions to leave at this time, to be listening to this radio, to have them in the passenger instead of me or me driving instead of me in the passenger seat. There's extreme ownership. And I know it's really, really hard. But if you boil that down to the smallest thing, what you eat, when you decide to get home, all of that is choices. But your free will, which is totally different. So people talk about free will. You have free will. But do you really? Only until you get self-actualized, which is you observe your life from above, looking down, and you say, as an observant, I don't know if that's the right word, but most people just go throughout life. They wake up at the same time, they have coffee at the same time, they get into their car, they drive the same speed, the same route, they wear the same clothes, they go to the same job, they do roughly the same thing, then they go on Facebook, then they start doing work again, then they go back on Facebook, then they go to lunch, they have pretty much the same thing at lunch, they think the same thing, they talk to the same people, they talk about the same thing. Is that really free will? Are you really choosing your life? Are you really creating your life? Or are you just habitually going through life and expecting something different? We all know the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing, expecting different results. You're doing the same thing and you're saying, yeah, you have free choice. You have free will. Someone's like, no, I have to go to school. No. You choose to go to school. Someone says, I choose to live with my parents, or my parents chose me. Okay? You chose to interact with your parents if they're not the best influence. I know plenty of people that don't really talk with their parents because they're bad influences. I also know people that call them 3 or 4 times a day. They choose to call their parents 3 or 4 times a day. Other people choose not to interact with their parents. I chose to volunteer to be laid off in 2009 in the smack dab part of a recession, to be laid off. And I chose that. I knew at that point any consequences, me maybe not getting a job, me potentially moving home with my parents, me going bankrupt, me owing money on taxes, me, whatever happened to me. You know, like me eating shitty food because I couldn't afford decent, good food. Whatever happened to me, I chose. And as many of you know, I sent an email saying, hey, by the way, I volunteered to be laid off from Oppenheimer Funds where I was working. And my brother emails me back. The only thing he says, who did you ask before doing this? That is someone that is not utilizing free will. They think that everything is happening to them. Someone says, I have to go to my job. You know, boil it down to the worst case scenario. You don't go to your job. You then have to look for another job. You then have to draw down your 401k, or you have to ask for money, or you have to borrow money. You choose that decision, but you also choose anything good or bad that happens. You choose to get a divorce. You choose everything. The food you eat, the clothes. You know, this is, in the book, it's based on this amazing book that I literally just read by Shad Helmstetter, who also wrote, it's called Choices. He also wrote What to Say When Talking to Yourself. Both unbelievable books. What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. I don't have a link below, but search in my YouTube channel. I did a book review on that. But he literally has 100 choices that you make. So when you say, I have free will, literally think everything you do. And I'm going to have something at the end. And I know this is going to be a long video, but this is so important. Because when I say compound your life, you compound your life solely based on the choices you make. Solely based on what time you wake up, what do you eat, do you go to the gym, who do you say hi to, who do you say goodbye to, who do you say I love you to, what job do you go to? Do you decide to go to your job, or you say, you know what, I've had enough, my happiness comes first, or my contribution to society comes first? That's what I said. I was like, listen, I don't see any way that I'm going to be happy in the future. I looked at all the management, all the people above me, all my bosses and my boss's boss and my boss's boss, all the way up to the CEO. And I'm like, this isn't for me. I would rather move home be embarrassed, be ashamed, then continue working at this job. I choose to leave. So within the book, on page 92, Shad Helmstetter says, these are choices you make. Who do you spend most of your time with? How do you comb your hair? What is your favorite foods? What do you eat most often? How often do you call home? The books you read, your posture, how little do you smile, your hobbies, how much television you watch, what do you watch, how much you exercise, whether you argue more than you should, the style, the color of your clothes, who you invite to your parties, whether you write letters, telephone calls you return, appearance of your house, how long something stays broken before you fix it. Dude, this is literally, this is your life. Are the thousands of choices that you make every single day. Do I study? Do I watch TV? How much time do I spend on social media? What do I say on social media? Do I care? My decision on how to feel when something bad happens, someone I know dies. How do I feel is a choice. How long do I sit in that? I have an example. This was a couple of years ago. I actually talking about. I just heard a big bang out, so I don't know what that was. Jack Canfield wrote this. I went to see him in one of the best programs. It's called Breakthrough to Success. I went to in Arizona, and there was a woman in her group. I'll never forget this. And she went through a terrible divorce. The guy was cheating on her with multiple women, and he was abusive verbally, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, she told me the story Sunday. By Friday, she was still telling the story. We went through 5 to 6 days of just transformational meditation and thinking and education, and this woman was telling the same story. The divorce happened 10 years ago. She chose to replay the story over and over. I'm not saying it's bad or good. I'm just saying that's what she chose. She chose to keep on thinking about this, which is another thing that I talk about. Everything is perfect. You know, I look at my father. My father's, you know, he's getting to an older age. And I look at him, and he chooses everything in his life. He chooses the food, how much TV he watches, political shows, you know, what he discusses, whether it's going to be positive or negative. He chooses that. So you can't fix people. You can't change people. You just have to say, this is what they have decided to do. Do you know how many people I've passed on the road of life? I'm 30. I'm turning 31 in like 13 days, okay? I literally, in the last 10 years, have just skyrocketed based on the choices I made. And I'm blessed that I made a choice when I was 20 or 21, when I first picked up the book over there, How to Win Friends and Influence People, that top book right there. I picked it up, I read it, and I said, this is the choice I'm going to make. I'm trying to be the best person I can. All right? So the biggest thing is, there's 2 things. Okay, I know it's long. This is the action steps. All right? And subconsciously, I do this without even reading the book, just based on all the books and programs that I've listened to and YouTube videos and things like that. But this is what you do. If you're at a restaurant and it's the salad or the pasta, or should I break up with this person? Should I not? Should I go on YouTube or should I not? And if you go on YouTube, you obviously watch my channel. No, should I go on Facebook? Should I not? Should I scroll through Facebook or not? Whatever the decision is, this is what you say. First thing is, immediately, really quick, what's the good, what's the bad? Okay, salad, is this the path on where I want to go? Pasta, is this the path that I want to go? Immediately you say, okay, salad is, okay? Say you choose pasta. You say, I choose pasta. Okay, it sounds corny. You don't have to say it out loud. Sometimes I do. I'm like, I choose, and I point to it. Like, today I went on a 50-mile bike ride, and I said, I choose that muffin because it gives me the sugar, it gives me the carbs, it gives me the energy, and I'm gonna burn it all off. 50 miles, I was hauling ass too. So that's the biggest thing is, but the thing is, you also then, when you're done, and you make the choice, and you say, I choose pasta, Then the next thing you say is, I chose pasta because. That's the most important thing, because it solidifies in your mind why you chose pasta. And then when you're observant, like I said in the beginning of the video, to wrap this all up, when you're observant of your life, like pretend there's a drone above you, and it's literally just looking at all the choices, the conversations, the emotions. You choose happiness, you choose literally everything. I can't even stress that enough, and I'll bring it up more. But you say, I chose pasta because I've exercised for 14 straight days and I deserve it. Okay? Perfect. Not only do you feel better because it feels that you're in control of the situation, but you also know the next day that when you say, I choose, you know what? I choose salad. And then the next day you say, I choose salad because I ate pasta yesterday. So not only do you feel empowered, but you also log all the decisions. I choose to make phone calls today. I choose to go exercise. I choose to wake up. I choose happiness. I choose to be respected. I choose to only feed my brain with educational things. I choose to hang out with these people. You make choices on everything. Highly recommend the book, Shad Helmstetter, Choices. He also, I would start with this book, which is What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. Have an awesome day. And I love you guys. I really appreciate you guys watching it. As much as me sending out everything I learn, it's your comments and your viewing that fuels me. So have an awesome day.